Leviticus chapter 10. This course through this book of the law in the Pentateuch has statutes and ordinances and also laws. It's important for us to understand which are which, as Jesus said he came not to change the law, but to fulfill it. The ordinances, the blood sacrifices, and the ceremonials were nailed to the cross. At the end of chapter 9, we have finished the consecration of Aaron and his 4 sons, and it is the final sacrifice in the ceremony to make them ready to conduct the worship for their peoples. Chapter 10 accounts for the first day that they were serving in the tabernacle, and as you will see, it didn't turn out so very well. Chapter 10, Leviticus, verse 1. Now Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer, and put fire therein, and put incense thereon, and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he commanded them not. Now these two, Nadab is the eldest son. His name means in the Hebrew freely giving, freely sacrificing. And the other son, Abihu, is the second son of Aaron, and it means worshiper of him. Now, they have followed their own way in taking the incense into the tabernacle, and Exodus 30 verse 9, God instructs them not to offer any strange incense. Now, the incense went into the censer after the strange fire. This strange fire would have been just fire picked from a campfire and not from the fire at the altar, which was to burn all the time. Did they let it go out? Did they just commit some kind of error? We're unsure. The Exodus 39 is a prohibition of strange incense, but the fact that the fire was strange would have defiled the incense, and thus would have made it strange. Verse 2. And there went out fire from the Lord and devoured them, and they died before the Lord. The Lord was so angry that when they held those censers out with that incense on that little golden altar out before the veil, that the fire shot back and consumed them. Remember that God is a consuming fire. 3. Then Moses said unto Aaron, This is it that the Lord spake, and that is capitalized in the King James. This is the covenant God, saying, I will be sanctified in them that come nigh me, and before all the people I will be glorified. And Aaron held his peace. Aaron said not a word. Instructions from Moses follow as to how this is to be handled. 4. And Moses called Mishael and Elzaphan, the sons of Uzziel, the uncle of Aaron, and said unto them, Come near, carry your brethren from before the sanctuary out of the camp. Now these were cousins. They were the sons of Uzziel, would have been a great uncle to Aaron and Moses, because Uzziel was a brother of their father Amram. And these are not priests, but they are going to be the ones to carry out these bodies, and they're to be out of the camp. And why these two cousins? Well, they're kinsmen, but they aren't priests, and they will not, as priests, be defiled by taking these remains, who have defiled themselves and been put to death by God Almighty. 5. So they went near and carried them in their coats out of the camp, as Moses had said. Their coats now did not belong to these two cousins. The coats were those priestly robes that these two, Abihu and Nadab, should have been wearing when they offered this incense. Well, how were the robes not burned? Well, maybe they didn't put the robes on and prepare themselves as they should have before they took that incense up to the altar. These robes would have been considered defiled, and that is why they would have been removed with these bodies. The instruction goes forth further. 6. And Moses said unto Aaron and to Eleazar and to Ithamar his sons, Uncover not your heads, neither rend your clothes, lest ye die, and lest wrath come upon all the people. But let your brethren, the whole house of Israel, bewail the burning which the Lord hath kindled. This rending of the clothes, tearing the clothes, and uncovering the head would have been a sign of mourning. And Moses is telling them because they are the father and brother to these two, that they are not to show open signs of grief, which would have been a disapproval of God's judgment, to show mourning. God had judged that these two deserved to die, and the survivors here are not to engage in mourning. 7. And ye shall not go out from the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, lest you die. For the anointing oil of the Lord is upon you. And they did according to the word of Moses. So they were told, don't go out of this sanctuary, and don't go to a burial. Going to a burial would have been, again, a defilement. Later on in chapter 21, when we arrive there in this study of Leviticus, we will discover that God forbade the high priest to go to any burials whatever, however, priests could go. 8. And the Lord spake unto Aaron, saying, Do not drink wine, nor strong drink thou, nor thy sons with thee, when you go into the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generation. This of telling them not to drink wine before they went in to serve, then we wonder why. And notice in verse 8 there that the Lord spake unto Aaron, and this is the only time that God speaks directly to Aaron. And in Numbers 12, both Aaron and his sister Miriam chastise Moses and are upset that he is the leader and God only speaks to him, and it resulted in Miriam contracting a case of leprosy that lasted for a week. Back to the drinking of the wine. Why is this mentioned? Well, there was a great celebration at the end of the consecration of the priests, and perhaps the two who were burned because of their use of strange fire was because of getting too much wine and allowing the fire to go out. There will be a sin offering for this, and there are 15 kinds of sin, and one is called shagah, and it is an error that is made because of passion or because of wine, or being out of rational judgment because of the clouding of the brain with alcohol. Ezekiel 44:21. This is one of the millennial chapters of Ezekiel. The millennial temple priests are the Zadok there, and they are the elect. And that chapter 21, they are not to drink wine before they enter the court. 10. And that you may put difference between holy and unholy, and between clean and unclean. In other words, they need to know what the Lord considers holy and what the Lord considers clean. And the only way they can know, of course, is to refer to these writings by Moses that have come directly from Yahweh. 11. And that ye may teach the children of Israel all the statutes which the Lord hath spoken unto them by the hand of Moses. They need to understand these statutes, and it's important today to know. If you do not know what the Lord considers sinful or an abomination, then you won't know not to do so. And you will also not know how to acquire the blessings of God. King Hezekiah was a good king, And he could see that the nation was sinning, that it was turning its back on God. And he realized that these people did not know. They did not know these words from God set out by Moses' hand. And Hezekiah sent priests all over the land to teach the people what God said. And Moses spake unto Aaron and unto Eleazar and to Ithamar his sons that were left, take the meat offering that remaineth of the offerings of the Lord made by fire, and eat it without leaven beside the altar, for it is most holy. Now that would have been what is called the meal or the grain offering, the mincha, and that would have been Menchah in the Hebrew, the mincha offering, and now to eat it in the holy place. These offerings here are being made for the people to cover sin, and the next offering then is the wave offering. And the wave breast and heave shoulders shall ye eat in a clean place, thou and thy sons and thy daughters with thee, for they be thy due, and thy sons' due, which are given out of the sacrifice of peace offerings of the children of Israel. The breast of the animal from the wave offering, and also that back leg from the peace offering, could be eaten in a clean place, not only by Aaron and Eleazar and the other son, but also their wives and children could participate in the eating of that. 15. The heave shoulder and the wave breast shall they bring with the offerings made by fire of the fat, to wave it for a wave offering before the Lord, and it shall be thine and thy sons with thee by a statute forever, as the Lord hath commanded. And the wave, it was waved toward the Lord and then pulled back, and it was laid over the fire where the fat was burned. The fat belonged to the Lord, as we learned in the sacrificial chapters, and was not to be eaten. 16. And Moses diligently sought the goat of the sin offering, and behold, it was burnt, and he was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, the sons of Aaron, which were left alive, saying, 17, Wherefore have you not eaten the sin offering in the holy place, seeing it is most holy, and God hath given it to you? Hear the iniquity of the congregation to make atonement for them before the Lord. There was a heave offering, wave offering, peace offering, and a sin offering. And the sin offering was a goat, and they were to eat part of that goat. And in the eating of the goat, they assume the sin of the people. And Moses has looked everywhere for a sign of the goat and has discovered that they have burned the entire animal, which again went against God's instruction. Now we're going to see that Aaron is somewhat nervous and perhaps lacking in confidence, and we will hear what he has to say. 18. Behold, the blood of it was not brought in within the holy place. Ye should indeed have eaten it in the holy places I commanded. Should be translated as I wrote God's command. So not only did they burn the entire goat, but they did not bring in that blood that would have been smeared on the horns of the altar inside the tabernacle. And Aaron's response. And Aaron said unto Moses, Behold, this day have they offered their sin offering and their burnt offering before the Lord, and such things have befallen me. And if I had eaten the sin offering today, should it have been accepted in the sight of the Lord? So he is saying, what has happened to me today has made a deep impact. His two sons have been burnt to death by God. And perhaps he thought or considered that he might have been involved or somehow defiled, and he felt unworthy to mediate the sins of the people by eating this goat. And when Moses heard that, he was content. So Moses accepted that the sin offering was totally burned and that they didn't eat it because somehow they felt that the Lord might not accept it. This is a rather short lesson. The next chapter, 11, are the food laws, and there is some places in the New Testament that need to be covered in preparing you to start in to understand what God said was clean and unclean for human consumption. Because of all that background and clarification that needs to be done, I am reserving that for the next lesson in chapter 11 rather than to break that chapter into parts. This video has been an outreach of the Essex United Methodist Church in Essex, Missouri.